Hi, everybody. It's Fiona May and
Sandra Lee.
we're the head coaches at Women on Transition. And tonight's topic that we're going to be talking about is you are one call away from being our next dating success story. So for all the beautiful ladies who are out there who want to create a beautiful new relationship, we've got some insider tips for you, because it's pretty challenging when you're our age to get out there and start dating again, because many of us haven't dated for a long time when we first went through our separation or divorce.
It's very scary when you first start out. And I remember back, the last time I'd been single when I separated, I was only a teenager, and there was no dating apps. And for many women now navigating, the internet, dating apps, and even communication apps like WhatsApp or Messenger, even all of that's scary as well.
Yeah, so we've got some slides as normal that we would love to share with you so you can follow along. So we're just going to share those now, and Sandra can kick off, and as I'm just swapping over to this.
Yeah, we're going to give a few examples, but one of the things that we're going to cover off on is, this might not be you right now. You may sit there and go, you know what, I'm not ready to be dating, and that's okay. But suddenly what happens is you meet somebody when you least expect it quite often. And when you do meet someone, you want to at least have some plan or thinking about when it maybe is going to happen, because it just happens, and you want to make sure you've got the boundaries in place, your standards in place, and all the things that we're going to just go through tonight. So this
Excellent.
is filed away.
And even if you're not ready to date now, that's perfectly okay, because we're not advocates that everyone has to be in a relationship. What it's about is that everyone needs to be living their best life. They need to feel empowered. And what we hate to see is women being stuck and not feeling like they've got choices, and feeling like they, life's just an existence instead of something that they've got power to create. We hate to see women suffer after their separation and divorce. So we're all about building our beautiful new lives. And for many women, that means they want a relationship, but it's always a choice.
So your love story starts here. This is your opportunity. And quite often coming through a separation or divorce, we've come from a relationship that's had its own set of boundaries or things that have happened in it that we've been affected by potentially. And now this is our white canvas that we can paint what we want and paint whatever story we want on there. So ladies, this is your opportunity to be as creative, as bold and daring as you choose to be. So it's an opportunity for growth, new beginnings, and for you to be able to set some really big, you might want to go traveling, and you might want to go and have a hobby with someone. You might love cycling or hiking, and you want to do that with that next person. So this is your time, girls. And so let's navigate this journey together, addressing your fears and unlocking your potential for love.
Excellent. So the first thing we need to do, ladies, is we need to embrace our authentic self. So this is all about self-discovery. So we need to know what our passions are, what our values, what our rules and our beliefs are. And we want to embrace the woman that we've become through our life experiences, because we are at a beautiful age of our life, and we do have lots of wisdom. We have lots of experiences. We've been through a lot. And, rather than that be baggage and coming into a relationship as a project, or, us needing somebody to look after us, or us still being at the place in our life that we're looking subconsciously for someone to look after. It's not healthy to be a people pleaser or an overgiver. What we want to encourage you to do is do your own personal work, so you can actually come into a relationship as feeling a whole and complete woman, and then you choose a man who is also whole and complete and done some work himself, and then the two of you beautiful creatures come together and magic happens. So first we've got to do the self-discovery. The second thing we've got to do is boost your confidence, because you've got to recognize your worth. You've got to use your life experiences, because these make you uniquely you. So give up trying to compare yourself to other people, worrying about what everybody else says or thinks or feels. I want you to come inside and really see yourself as the beautiful woman that you are. Be confident in yourself. Step out of your comfort zone and live your life to the best of your ability. And that means that you need to be authentic. This is one of my favorite things in the world, because when I'm authentically me, I own myself inside out. I know that I am not perfect in every part of my life. And I know that I'm not perfect in every part of my appearance or my body or my size or my weight, but you know what? This is me. And when comfortable with me, you know what? Everyone else gets comfortable with me as well. You know, the worst thing you can do is have low self-esteem, because the truth is the world takes you on your own recommendation. So if you don't think you're good enough, if you don't think that you're beautiful and you're special and you're worthy and, you know, you are a prize that needs to be looked after and respected, nobody else is going to do that for you. So you have to be the one that sets your own standard of how people are going to believe, treat you and trust you.
And I'm not the person that gives every bit of information out up front, but I certainly give out authentic and real information when I do give it out. So just to be really clear, you know, if you have got kids, you know, and you share the honesty of having kids, or if you are somebody that hates hiking, don't put down that you love hiking and you're super fit and you want to be adventurous, or, you know, doing treks through the mountains, because if people find one thing that's not right about your profile when they meet you or talk to you, then they're going to think that everything else is not right either. So come from honesty from the start, warts and all, but you don't have to give all the warts up front. You can certainly be sharing just little bits as you're releasing it, but in an authentic and honest way. So create an engaging profile, showcase your personality, your good side, with honest and positive descriptions and recent photos. You know, I know when I was on the dating apps and I was looking at photos, and you could see photos of men certainly were that one photo had even hair, and the next photo they were completely bald, or they had gone from black hair to grey hair, and I'm thinking, or their weight was fluctuating in their photos. So I said, how old are these photos? And the guy would go, 10, 15 years old. And I'm like, yeah, no, we want honest, recent, modern photos of people's self, and you don't want to be surprised when you meet them or think this person looks nothing like their photos. And I met a few of those. Or I met a guy who said he didn't have kids. And when I met him, his kids were 2 and 3, like they were really young. And my kids had left school. So I was like, no, they were not negotiable things for me. So get clear intentions. Be upfront about what you're looking for in a relationship, and be clear what you want, not looking for somebody else that's going to want you. Look for what you want in a relationship, and document it, write it down. I did a vision board of, I wanted a guy that showed up and he was, you know, a guy that knew his own self and was a leader in his own workplace and life, and had all, you know, he had integrity, and he was somebody that I could respect, and who was strong, and who was, you know, a man's man, and loved camping and loved holidaying and loved, you know, so I was really clear all the things that I wanted in somebody. So when I got to meet them, I could go down my checklist and see if and I didn't tell him my checklist, of course, but I did have a mental one, and certainly went down it and then tick, tick, tick. He ticked some boxes, and yeah, let's go and move it to the next stage. Practice safety is a factor here. Trust your instincts and take precautions when meeting someone new. You know, don't go meeting them privately and, you know, down a deserted laneway, or invite them over to your place for your first meet. You want to meet them somewhere that's public, a coffee shop, or even a bar is okay. It's somewhere that you can meet, and I'd recommend you meet for a drink, a coffee or a wine. Or a soft drink, doesn't have to be alcoholic, but certainly the opportunity for you to meet them somewhere where you can meet them and within a few minutes realize this is not someone you want to take to that next you know, you don't want to sit there for an hour. So don't get stuck with a meal. Don't get stuck having to have a dinner and know that you're going to be there for an hour and a half or 45 minutes or something. It can be a quick coffee, 15 minutes, you're out. Or you can have another drink and you can stay.
People don't realise the power of your dating profile, especially when you're dating online. Your profile needs to be a representation of you. It really is your calling card. And just people who you are. And if you don't understand how to write your dating file properly, it's going to cross out a lot of good people and attract people that might not be the people that you want to attract. If you've got just a slight wording wrong, or the wrong pictures, or the wrong amount of words. So we have the privilege of coaching men as well. And so we've seen a lot of men's profiles and we've seen a lot of women's profiles. We've also spent time listening to and talking to men about what they like about what the women put in their profiles and what they find is inappropriate. One of the things Sandra just mentioned was photos. I've heard time and time again from men saying that they set up a date and the woman arrives and she's 10 to 15 years older and got 10, 20 extra than her photos. And then they think that it's dishonest, but it's also not what they want, you know, for this particular guys that we were talking about, and they feel a bit deceived. And good guys often will sit through that interaction, but they will feel that, you know, they're not going to start that relationship in a trusting manner. So I just want you to be authentically you. If you're going to date, show up as you, whatever age you are, whatever weight you are, whatever, you know, traits you have, just show up as you, because you will be so sad when you get rejected if you pretend to be somebody other than you are. But if you show up as your authentic self and you're not someone's cup of tea, at least you can accept that you're just not that person's cup of tea. But when you pretend to be somebody other than you are, that reeks of low self-esteem. So just be careful with that one, ladies. It's very real. And I've even heard of just think about how you're showing up at all. So we have a step-by-step system of what we recommend to our clients. And I will sit with them and go through their photos, go through their profiles, and make sure no red flags in there, because what men are looking for is a reason not to pick you. They're not looking for a reason to pick you. They're just trying to make sure that they don't make mistakes. So if you have red flags in your profile, and I see it time and time again, because what I see is women trying to protect themselves and they're trying to push away all the men who potentially could hurt them. But what it comes across as is someone who isn't healed, who has a lot of baggage, who, you know, isn't very discerning or isn't very emotionally healthy. And so the chances of you actually attracting a healthy guy is very minimal. But what you will attract, without a doubt, is guys that know and feel and see that you are desperate and needy, and that they might be able to move in and take advantage of you some way or another. So just be very, very careful.
Yeah, the fear of rejection is a big one too. You know, that you're putting yourself out there on dating apps, and it takes courage to do that. And then when no one clicks or likes, or you like someone and they don't like you back, you've got to go into this with a real, like a bit of a tough skin, and just look at it from almost like a job interview. Like you go out there and you put yourself out there to enough jobs that you just, there's going to be a number. It's a bit of a numbers game. And it could just be that somebody is just, you know, that they're just not on, that they're meant to be. And that perfect person that's going to be your future maybe date, he's just distracted off with a job or something, and he hasn't just shown up. I know when I met my now husband on a date, we were both of us had been off for a few weeks offline. I'd been out the back blocks of South Africa, and he'd been offline working as well. So when I came back online, I was sitting at the airport, and he'd come back in and from his away job he'd been, and we literally were talking to each other. And he said, "Where are you?" I'm at Johannesburg Airport, and he was sitting in Perth, and he's like, "You where?" And I was like, "I'm on my way back there." But certainly you've no idea where the person is that you're speaking to and their location. And so it's really important that, that's another safety aspect, certainly. But as we go through, rejection is redirection. It's just, if that's not right, if that person's not right for you, that's good. You're knowing up front, and you're not going to get potentially rejected later. So work it out. You're going to do the same. You're going to go, there's just no chemistry here, or it doesn't sound right, or his interests and his hobbies don't sync with mine, or so that it's not personal at this point. And that fear of intimacy, take it slow and build trust gradually and communicate your boundaries. There's no rules here. You don't have to sleep with somebody at all if you don't want to. And really it comes down to what the relationship to be can be what it is. And it could be that you meet someone, over a period of weeks and months, or you have a couple of people that you're meeting at the same time and working out, if this person's for me. If it's something that's natural, it feels good, and you're really super comfortable, you're going to want to be with them even more, and in the intimacy, to be that expansion of that and the expansion of your relationship. So it's got to be something that feels right, as much as it felt right when you were younger. And you certainly can have passion of youth in our older years, and it's something that, but it's same as any relationship. It starts off in that honeymoon, and it goes into companionship, and goes into making sure that more company, and when we first meet anybody, we go from that sort of the serotonins and all the chemicals kick in, and right through to where we go into a real comfort state as well. Looking for somebody that can be your life companion is something that isn't something that you have to find on the first date. It's something that's going to be built, and it's something that's going to be extended over time, and it's something that you're going to have fun exploring as well. And the fear of baggage, your past experiences to you. Embrace your journey and share when you're ready, your baggage of your ex, and maybe stories that you've had, maybe more than one ex. For both of you, you don't want to be swamping your first conversations and dates about your exes and your nightmare stories, because you'll scare away. Neither of you will want to go forward with, that much baggage that's sitting out there. You really want to be with somebody we've all got baggage at our age. So it's a matter of knowing that they've got it packed up nicely. It's in a bag. It's got a nice bow in it and they've sorted it out. They're not in the middle of having a crazy or, fighting, or kids fighting, or and it's drama all the time. We all have stuff, but you want to know that they're dealing with it in a respectful way. They're dealing with their exes in a respectful way, and they've moved forward, and their ex is not still in their lives as somebody that you have to be concerned about.
Yeah.
And fear of settling. Trust your instincts. Don't compromise with your core values and your needs. And be clear what they are. Sit down on your own before you start getting onto a dating profile, and write down what your not negotiables need to be for you to be happy. And that is someone that could be that they're trusting, or they're authentic, or they have a job, or they've got their own money, or they've got their own house and their own car, or they love traveling, or whatever that is. Write down what they are for you, and so that when you go into meeting people, you already know your expectations are, and you're clear, because you can get a bit soft with them. We can bend them when we meet someone that we want to make it work, and we can try a bit too hard sometimes to make a relationship work early on when it shouldn't be working, and it could be just a bit of a natural with it.
Progression. Okay, so we've got to be able to balance our family and dating. So for a lot of people, there's a time when they just aren't ready to date because they've got too much going on in their life. It might be, that they're still working through their separation, or life's chaotic with children, young children, or, kids doing exams and all of that sort of stuff. And we've got to consider, before we even think of dating, have we got our life, and are we actually ready to date? Have we got space in our life to actually bring a partner in? Because that's a big one too. And that, that can be interesting, because sometimes when you don't have a partner, you actually fill all the voids, so you don't have the empty spaces. So, there's some work here to do to think about balancing your family and your dating. First thing is, you need to also have honest communication. So having honest communication with your children about your dating is really important. Very often our older kids are the ones that are affected through separation and divorce, and then they also get affected when you start dating, because for a number of reasons, they can be overprotective, they can be worried about you getting hurt, they can also be worried about what that means in the future, as far as family and bringing someone else into your life. So there's lots of reasons why, but you need to know how to advocate for yourself, speak up, say what you want. It's not okay for your kids, when they're adults, to be running your life. It's not okay for any running your life. You need to be competent and confident enough to be able to speak to your kids and have healthy boundaries. And even if they've been hurt through the divorce, and they're wary of you dating, you still have a right to date if that's what you want to do. So, the thing that will make your kids relax and trust you and your decision making is if you have done your healing and you are dating from a good place. I think if they see that you have done your work and that you're in a good place and that you're going to be making good decisions, then they can relax a little bit. So you need to address their concerns and involve them in the process. For me, it was important that whoever I brought into my life and into our family, that my kids got along with. And that was because the point of view that I want my partner to be an integral part in our family. And if he wasn't, and if the kids really had some problems with him, I'd want to really have a look at that and unpack it and see what it's all about. I mean, sometimes when I've seen ladies that are so smitten and get so emotionally involved very quickly, what's unhealthy, kids can see things in that partner that the ladies sometimes become delusional about, and they don't see because they're too close. But if you're dating from that point of view, you really need to do some work, because you are setting yourself up for failure if you're desperate and dating. Time management is important, because we need to be able to balance our quality time with our whole family and our dating life. And we need to be able to prioritise and schedule wisely our time, so we make time for all the things in our life that are important to us. And when you're dating, you don't want to just be focused on dating. Dating should be a part of your life, not the life that you're having. For me, I was busy. I had a big business, and so I used to schedule my dating on Friday afternoons, and I would maybe have 3 or 4 drinks or coffee with different guys, and then I would see out of that who I wanted to see again, and then next time who I wanted to see again, who was interesting, who excited me and that I wanted to get them to know them more, who was consistently their word, who everything of just tick tick tick. And my attitude was going out to meet a friend. I'm just going to, find some new people to hang around with, do things with. And I wasn't attached to, every time I met someone, wondering and thinking, is this my forever after? Because that just reeks of desperation to me. So I was looking or ended up happening, what was cool, I met one guy who really loved the theatre. I met one guy who really loved outdoors and sports, and I met one guy who loves camping and fishing and exploring, four-wheel driving, all of those things. So even though in the end none of those three guys were guys that either they didn't want to have a relationship with me, an intimate relationship, or I didn't want to have an intimate relationship with them. But we stayed friends and we did things together. When we didn't have partners, we'd always connect up and we just hang and go to things together. So it was really nice, and I did meet some really awesome that period. You need to introduce partners into your life gradually. You don't want to just bring every person into your life, especially if you've got younger children. I know that when I started dating, my kids were a little bit funny about it because every week I was meeting different people. I got that I actually didn't. And I had the intention of not introducing anybody to my kids, even though they were older, until I had made a decision that this person was somebody that I wanted to have a serious relationship with. And I think that then took the pressure off. I didn't have to answer, where I was going, what I was meeting. But one of the things I did do, I was very safe when I dated. And like one time I got the guy's, I think it was his passport, his driver's license. He even gave me his, the safe with children thing, because he had one of those. So because I was going to meet him, and I was traveling to meet him and I didn't really know who this person was. So you need to protect yourself and make sure that you're taking the right precautions. Tell people what you're doing and meet people in public.
Yeah, absolutely. And here's some red flags, girls. And I like to call some orange as well. So you can have an orange flag that can go into a red, or a red that goes back to orange, like maybe, but unlikely. So certainly we want to look out for these flags. Inconsistency is a big one. So be wary of anyone that you meet who are inconsistent in their words and actions. So if they were working offshore, for example, and then they said, oh no, at the same period of time they were overseas or doing something different, or they were on holidays, or they had so inconsistencies can be just an accident and to start with. So you could just ask more questions. But as soon as you see there's a trend, or you see that they can't answer and that it is inconsistent, and you go with your gut feeling, don't try and push it and force it to make it work when it really is not right. So we can tend to wish that this relationship works because the last one didn't, and we can hope and pray and try too hard to make something work and things to come together when they just shouldn't. So stand back, know that there's you'll find that next amazing guy out there in a heartbeat because you're amazing, and just don't push this relationship. So that's where your self-confidence comes back into it. Don't rush. Be cautious of those who push for commitment too quickly, that they want to move in, or they want to be exclusive, or they want something that you just go, you know what, there's no rules here, girls. So you don't have to abide by anything. If they push too much and you put your rules down and say, I'm not ready to move in. No, I'm not ready to be, completely committed. I just want to take things slow to start with. And if they're not happy with what you're saying, that's a red flag. They need to be respectful, and they need to be listening. And you are the one that's driving the speed and the control of everything, timing. And if they're not respectful of that, either they're not for you, or that's a major red flag that you're not for them either. Emotional unavailability. Watch for signs of emotional distancing or inability to connect deeply. If they don't want to have those conversations, or you just can't talk about issues that are coming up, or you say, hey, this is something that we really need to sit down when does it suit you for us to do this, and have a chat about, what that looks like. Or, if he wants to move in and you say, hey, I'm not comfortable with that. And if he won't talk about that and listen to you as well, then that communication goes both ways. So these are big red flags. And for you, money's another one that comes up. if he gets angry or frustrated, or you do, and because of the money situation that you both feel like it's unfair where it's at, one of you's paying more for bills and as far as when you go out or a weekend away, these are the things that you, if you don't have the ability to have a good communication around money and a healthy conversation and boundaries, then that is not going to improve. And if you can't sit down and have that conversation, then that's a massive red flag. And the biggest respect, we just let too much be said or too many things be dropped in conversation that we know are not okay. And if we don't have our self-confidence up there, we allow that to happen. So never tolerate disrespect towards you, your boundaries, or you don't let anybody bully you into lowering your boundaries, or you believing that you're being dramatic, or you're being overreactive, or you're being like over dramatic with what you want or don't want. That's what you want. Just sit back, lean back, and that relationship may not be for you. So it's your lean back period, and it's really important that you do that through this time, because it's okay at this point. It's easier, and it's okay at any point to let things just go, and you don't have to move forward and be impatient and have a relationship just because you think you should.
So how do we build lasting connections, ladies? So we've got 4 points here that we've picked up. So the first one is open communication. And like Sandra said, foster honest dialogue. This is where you can share your thoughts, feelings, and expectations. So if you're, we want you to also understand the difference between masculine and feminine, and we want you to understand that men have a very different way of communicating than what women do. And very often as women, we want our men to women, and they're not meant to be like that. They're not born like that. They're not articulate, and they don't multitask like women do. So we need to actually understand men and see their masculine traits and their strengths so we can appreciate. So when we're having conversations with them, that we're having conversations around the right time, around the right subjects, and that we have our expectations of how much men talk compared to women, that we're being real in that situation, because it's not the same. The second one is shared experiences. So we want to create memories together. And this is a big one. And I really like this and I encourage it. So after you've had a first date, you might have a coffee date or something like that, just so you know that this guy is somebody who, you know, he does look like he did online. You know, you do have chemistry together. I always recommend that you never meet anybody physically until you have spoken to them online, you have spoken to them on the phone, and generally you have spoken to them on a webinar or video call or something like that. So you've already got 3 stages through before you even get to the meeting stage. And the meeting stage I always recommend is a 15-20 minute coffee catch up. And if that goes well, and if you're both enjoying yourself, then of course you could extend that longer, or you can come back and do it again, and then do it again and do it again. So you'd have, you know, those dates should go on until they're not filling either of your needs. So, and each one should not be thought of as a date per se. It should be just thought of as an opportunity to catch up and see if we're a good fit for the next time and the next time. And so if you really like someone and they like you, well, then you have another date. But if you're, you know, you don't think that that person's right, or there's something there, you're seeing a lot of red flags, just be consciously aware that don't think that you get into a relationship with a man and you're going to change him, because that thinking is unhealthy thinking. So if he's not right up front, then listen to yourself, listen to what you're being told, and, you know, don't get in a relationship with someone hoping and thinking that they're going to change. So with the shared experiences, what I love to do is on the 2nd, 3rd, 4th day, go out and do things together. Go for a walk, go for a kayak, ride bikes, do something, go in, watch the movies, or, you want to see people in different parts of their life doing different things. You want a competitive you guy is. You want to know, how he speaks to other people, how he interacts. And the best way to do that with men is to get them doing something with their hands, with their bodies, so you can actually see how they handle themselves in different ways, rather than just sitting there feeling like they're being interviewed, because very often men are nervous as well, and they don't do well in the verbal communication, just one-on-one. They do feel like they're being interviewed, and very often women talk over top of them 150 miles an hour, and for men it can be really emotionally exhausting to actually go through that process. So just be consciously aware of that. The third one is emotional intimacy. So you want to build trust through being vulnerable. And vulnerability, ladies, doesn't come when you're scared and you've got your walls up and you've got your mask on, pretending to be somebody other than you are. None of that is going to allow a man to see your soul. And it's not going to allow a man to feel comfortable with you. He wants to know and see who you actually are. And that means you being brave enough to be your true, authentic self. So support each other, find out what his goals are and what his dreams are and what his ambitions are. Find out all the things about what he's done in his life, instead of sitting there with your mask on and being, in your masculine energy. Drop all that. Get into your feminine, get into your heart, and connect level, and see him as a little boy who grew up into a man, and find out what his journey was and who he is as a person. And you will find out some beautiful things about him, rather than being judgy and hard and rigid. So the fourth thing is, make sure you are always growing, because to build a lasting connection, it takes two people who are committed to growth, two people who want to be in a relationship, two people who are showing up every day wanting that other person to have a good experience. And so we do regular check-ins and we support each other, and we want each other to know that we've got each other's back during the day. So if someone's having a challenge, or, you're supposed to be, when you get in relationship with someone, their best friend. You're supposed to be the people that support each other. And, I'm safe to say that most people don't even know what health tips are. So, start thinking in your mind how you would love someone to treat you, how you would love them to support you and to be there, and then become that person for other people, where instead of having expectations, we trade them in for our appreciation. So embrace our personal growth. We, as an individual and as a couple, keep learning and evolving together, because that is where, beautiful relationships are created, with two souls that come together. But you want to have you as a healthy, independent, strong woman, and you want to have him as a healthy, independent, strong man. And then you want to come together and you want to have an us. And your us is where you create basically a third entity to the relationship, and that's who you become as a couple.
I've seen too people, when they don't stay together through the personal development, and they both go, or one goes off on a pathway for this, a commitment to a personal development, the other one doesn't want to change, that can separate people too. So it's really important that you've got common interests in wanting to, and respect around having personal development as something that you both get is something that's an ongoing thing, and it's not a threat to each other as well. So this expert guidance, like making sure that you've got that there. And certainly what we do through our programs is making sure that this is all included. So learning from experiences, finding compatible partners, personalized matching, making sure you find your soulmate at all levels, ongoing support when you trip up and you have a red or orange flag come up, and do you call it quits, or do you sort of keep persisting on, and just knowing what that threshold or how far you do go to making it work needs to be, and how much put in over and above what you think is probably even what you would normally, or maybe you don't put as much effort in as what you would normally because it didn't work the last time. You ended up with someone maybe that ended up manipulating you, or so these are the things that we can tend to bring into a new relationship, the old habits that we have. So it's that reasonable advice that's from somebody that's experienced to be able to give you some guidelines, that's a framework around it as well. So finding compatible partners, making sure you're finding someone that is going to challenge you, but certainly be a good challenge as opposed to a confrontation. Saving time and energy, making sure that you're not out there just, looking and looking and looking and having no idea and going on dates and dates and dates and having disasters, because going through a filter system that's trusted is a way to be able to shortlist and find fast, some really good matches as well. And celebrating your journey when you do find your Mr. Right. We've had so many girls go through that are dating and loving their life with their new man by their side, and they've got somebody that is awesome and has been maybe for a while, and then they come back into the pool and start again, realize that maybe naturally things haven't worked. So yeah, we just definitely know that it does take time to get all this right, and it's not easy, and it's certainly not something that people just jump into and have success with it. It's definitely something that can be not just scary, but there's scammers out there, and there's people out there that are professional criminals that are preying on vulnerable women. And these are the things that you have to watch out for and be really super careful. Don't just think that everyone's as nice and as trusting as you are, or has been as same as what your past relationship was, because there are some people out there, all they do, they're sitting in a phone room in another country potentially, just preying on vulnerable women going through separation and divorce.
Please, ladies, you can't be that person. You've got to take responsibility and educate yourself. So when you do go out there, and this just isn't dating, this is life. You can be taken advantage of by your own children and financially abused. You can be taken advantage of if you go to buy a car, or, if you get into onto a dating website. So, it's all about you becoming more emotionally healthy. And so you can advocate for yourself. You can speak up. You can say no if you don't want to do something, that you don't feel pressured into making decisions. So it's all about you developing your own mind. And so you can confidently say what you want and what you don't want. So, ladies, we want to encourage you. You can, change your life. You can create the sort of life exactly as you want it to be. And if that has a man in it, we'll go for it. We've had literally over 400 ladies that we've worked with in our programs who are now in beautiful relationships, and they're relationships that they've never had before. The quality and the caliber are better than they've ever had. And, there's an economic cost to making mistakes. If you go and attract the wrong person, you get into a relationship with them, you've got to think about, what does it cost you to go through a divorce? What does it cost you to, lose another house? What does it cost you to have your heart broken? How does it affect you emotionally? How does it affect the kids? So there is real costs involved with wrong decisions. But something smart you can do is you're one step away from being our next dating success story. If you want to date, we really encourage you to actually do the work before you start dating. Put yourself on a man ban until you're ready to actually, attract something into your life. Don't settle for scraps of the first man who comes along and whispers stuff in your ear. Be very discerning as to who you allow to come into your life.
And not just your life, into your family's life. You're introducing them to your kids, to your, siblings, to your parents. And, you don't want to, you want to go in it slowly, and making sure that as you're connecting people into your life and introducing it, it doesn't have to be that you can't introduce different people or break up with someone if it's not working because you have a fear of introducing someone again to them. But just go slowly and just say, hey, we're dating, we're having fun. Be open with the fact that you're traveling slow with this person. Everyone will respect that. Your family will be more assured you're doing things in a way that's deliberate, and you've got control, and you're doing things, safely as well. So all of these things, people tend to care for you so that you can, they're worried for you. So it's you reassuring them that you are on track and you do have a plan. It's so safe to do that. So ladies, it can be a lot of fun as well, and I certainly enjoyed my dating world and time for a couple of years. And I met some frogs, met some princes. Finally met my prince, but certainly you can have a lot of fun out there doing it and connecting with new people and experiences. And there's no rules. There's no judgment. We're adults, and you can go out and try some new things as well, as long as you're doing it safely and in the framework that you're choosing to do.
Yeah. And well, ladies, that's the bottom line that we want you to be careful about. There's diseases out there, there's some bad people, but there is also some amazing, beautiful people out there. So, just educate yourself, make smart decisions, and go out there and live your best life. Who's having a man, make sure he's an awesome bloke, because you are an awesome woman. Bye for now, ladies.
Ciao.